Emotional AI, flying cars, tokenized wine, and smart cities. January 2025 was a tech roller coaster. Fasten your seatbelts because we're diving into the breakthroughs, the bold moves, and the future that's already here. But before we start, did you know 65% of our listeners aren't following us? If you enjoy the show, please hit subscribe or follow and collect our episodes on pods.media. Your support means a lot. Thanks, guys. This month was a whirlwind of AI advancements, digital currencies, and even cities that think. We've got a whole lot of notes to unpack. So are you ready to deep dive into the January 2025 tech scene?
Absolutely. January was a fascinating month, showcasing how technology is not just evolving, but leaping forward. It's not just about incremental changes anymore. We're seeing shifts that could fundamentally reshape how we live and interact with the world.
Let's jump right into one of the biggest whoa moments for me. Emotional AI. AI that can actually understand and react to our emotions. It's like something straight out of science fiction, except it's becoming very real.
It is, isn't it? Think about the implications. Companies are training AI to recognize emotions through facial expressions, voice intonation, even physiological signals. This isn't just about robots reading our poker faces. It's about machines potentially understanding us on a deeper level.
That's what blows my mind. Imagine customer service bots adapting to your mood, becoming more helpful when you're frustrated. Or think about AI therapists providing personalized support based on your emotional state. It's like having a machine that can empathize with you.
It's incredible and a bit unsettling, right? That's why it's crucial to consider the ethical implications. We need to be asking ourselves tough questions about what safeguards need to be in place to protect our emotional data and how to prevent potential misuse.
Right, because handing over our emotions to AI is a whole different ballgame than, say, handing over our shopping habits. And speaking of groundbreaking tech with potential upsides and downsides, what about those central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs?
Yeah.
They're basically digital versions of national currencies, and they've been making headlines.
CBDCs could be absolutely transformative. Imagine a world where your dollars or euros exist on a secure blockchain. Transactions could be faster, cheaper, potentially even more secure. We could see a shift away from traditional banking systems and even physical cash.
No more fumbling for change at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
But wouldn't this give governments a lot more power?
That's the trade-off, isn't it? With CBDCs, governments could have a much clearer view of our financial transactions. This raises valid concerns about privacy and control. It's a classic example of how technological advancements often require us to balance progress with potential risks.
It's like a constant tug-of-war between innovation and caution. But hey, enough of the heavy stuff for a moment. Let's talk CES 2025. The annual tech extravaganza was back with a bang, and, AI assistants were the stars of the show. OpenAI, Grok, Llama, Claude. It's like the AI assistant showdown of the century.
It was definitely a battle of the bots. But what stood out to me wasn't just the features, it was the real-world applications. These assistants are changing how we work, learn, and interact with technology. Imagine having an AI that can help you manage your schedule, filter information overload, and even provide personalized education.
It's like having a superpowered personal assistant in your pocket. Did you see any particularly funny demos or product fails from CES? Those always make the event more memorable.
Oh, there were definitely a few. One that comes to mind is a demo of an AI-powered robot chef that was supposed to whip up a gourmet meal. Let's just say the results were more kitchen nightmare than culinary masterpiece.
Even the most advanced AI can have a bad day in the kitchen, I guess. But seriously, what do you think the future holds for these AI assistants? How will they shape our lives in the years to come?
I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg. As they become more sophisticated, they'll be integrated into every facet of our lives. They have the potential to revolutionize how we work, learn, even interact with each other. The possibilities are mind-boggling.
It's almost scary to think about how quickly things are changing. Speaking of rapid transformation, let's move on to industrial AI. This is where AI is moving beyond the consumer space and into the core of industries like manufacturing and agriculture.
It's amazing to see how AI is impacting these sectors. We're talking about robots working alongside humans on assembly lines, AI-powered systems that monitor crops and optimize irrigation, and algorithms that predict equipment failures before they happen. It's about efficiency, productivity, and safety on a whole new level.
It sounds like a win-win for businesses and workers alike. Increased productivity, improved safety, and who knows, maybe even a more sustainable future.
That's the exciting part. We're seeing AI being used to tackle some of the biggest challenges facing industries today. It has the potential to revolutionize the way we produce goods and services, making these processes not just more efficient, but also more environmentally friendly.
Okay, now for a concept that's a bit more abstract, Decentralized data marketplaces. Can you break this down for us? I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
Imagine a future where you have complete control over your own data and can even monetize it. That's the idea behind these marketplaces. Instead of companies like Google and Facebook profiting from our data, we could be the ones in control.
So instead of being the product, we become the entrepreneurs. That's a pretty empowering thought.
Exactly. Think of it like a digital farmer's market for data. You decide what data you want to share, with whom, and for how much. It puts the power back in the hands of the individual.
I love that analogy. It makes the whole concept so much clearer. But how would it work in practice? Would we be selling our data like vintage records at a flea market?
You're catching on quickly. Blockchain technology is key here. It allows for secure and transparent data exchange. You could list your data, your shopping habits, browsing history, even fitness data, and set your own price. Companies or researchers could buy it directly from you, cutting out the middleman and giving you more control.
Wow, that's a game changer. But what about privacy and security? Would we be opening ourselves up to new risks by putting our data up for sale?
That's a crucial question, and robust security measures would be absolutely essential. Imagine blockchain-based encryption and decentralized identity systems where you share only specific data without revealing your entire online identity. It's like having a digital lockbox for your data, where you control the keys.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. But even with those safeguards, it seems like there's a lot of potential for misuse. It's definitely a trend to watch closely as it develops. Ready to move on to our next stop on the tech roller coaster? Hold on tight, because we're heading into the world of smart cities.
Get ready for a glimpse into the future of urban living. We're talking about cities that use AI and the Internet of Things to optimize everything from traffic flow to energy consumption to public safety.
So it's like the city itself becomes a giant, interconnected organism constantly learning and adapting.
That's a great way to think about it. Sensors, cameras, and smart devices collect data from across the city, and AI algorithms analyze that data to make real-time decisions. The goal is to create a more efficient, sustainable, and livable urban environment.
I can get on board with that. Give me some concrete examples. How would this play out in everyday life?
Picture this. You're driving to work, and your car communicates with the city's traffic management system, receiving real-time updates on congestion and alternative routes. Or imagine smart garbage bins that alert sanitation crews when they're full, optimizing waste collection.
No more rush hour gridlock and cleaner streets. Sign me up. But with all this data collection, wouldn't there be concerns about privacy and surveillance? Could a smart city become a bit too big brother-ish?
That's a valid concern. City planners and technologists need to address this carefully. The key is to strike the right balance between data-driven optimization and individual privacy. Transparency, accountability, and citizen oversight are crucial to prevent these technologies from being misused.
It seems like every tech advancement comes with its own set of trade-offs. We have to weigh the potential benefits against the potential risks.
Absolutely. And speaking of global tech competition, our next topic takes us to China, where a new AI model is making waves. Have you heard of DeepSeek?
Vaguely. Isn't it supposed to be a rival to the big US AI models?
That's right. DeepSeek has been generating buzz for its impressive performance in areas like natural language processing and image recognition. It's a clear sign that China is becoming a major player in the global AI landscape.
So it's like David challenging Goliath in the world of AI.
You could say that. DeepSeek's emergence highlights the increasingly competitive nature of AI development. It raises questions about whether this competition will accelerate innovation or lead to a fragmentation of AI standards.
This is where things get really interesting. What does DeepSeek's rise mean for the future of AI? Could it shift the balance of power in technology?
That's a question many experts are pondering. Some believe it could lead to a multipolar world of AI, where different countries and regions develop their own unique approaches.
So instead of one dominant AI superpower, we might see a more diverse and decentralized AI landscape.
That's one possibility, and it could have profound implications for everything from technological innovation to global economics to geopolitical power dynamics. It's a development we'll be watching closely. Now let's talk about something that's making waves in the world of finance: the tokenization of real-world assets.
Okay, break this down for me. What exactly does it mean to tokenize a real-world asset? Are we talking about turning physical objects into digital tokens.
You got it. Imagine representing ownership of a piece of real estate, a work of art, or even a rare bottle of wine on a blockchain using a unique digital token. That's the essence of tokenization.
So it's like creating a digital twin for a physical asset.
Exactly. And this digital twin can then be traded or exchanged just like any other cryptocurrency. It's a revolutionary concept that could transform the way we invest and manage assets.
I can see how this could be huge, but help me understand the benefits. Why would we want to tokenize real-world assets in the first place?
Great question. There are several potential advantages. First, tokenization can increase liquidity. Imagine being able to easily buy or sell fractions of a valuable asset, like a piece of prime real estate or a rare artwork, without having to go through complex traditional processes.
That sounds much more accessible and efficient.
Exactly. It opens up investment opportunities to a wider range of people. Second, tokenization can improve transparency and security. Because blockchain transactions are recorded on a public and immutable ledger, it's much harder to commit fraud or manipulate ownership records.
So it's like having a tamper-proof digital certificate of ownership for your assets.
Precisely. This increased transparency can foster trust and reduce risk in markets. And finally, tokenization can make it easier to manage and track assets, especially in complex transactions involving multiple parties.
It sounds like tokenization could revolutionize everything from real estate to art collecting to supply chain management. But what are the potential downsides? Are there any risks we need to be aware of?
Of course. As with any emerging technology, there are challenges and risks to consider. One key concern is regulatory uncertainty. Governments around the world are still grappling with how to regulate tokenized assets, and this lack of clarity could create hurdles for adoption.
That makes sense. It's like the Wild West of finance, new frontiers, but also a lot of unknowns.
Exactly. And another challenge is ensuring the security of these digital tokens. We need robust cybersecurity measures to prevent hacking and theft.
So the technology has to be ironclad to protect these valuable assets.
Absolutely. And finally, we need to address concerns about accessibility and inclusivity. We want to make sure that tokenization benefits everyone, not just those who are already wealthy and tech-savvy.
That's a crucial point. We need to ensure that these technological advancements don't exacerbate existing inequalities. Let's take a quick break here.
Okay.
We're open for partnerships. Got a cool project? We've got the spotlight you need. We're opening our doors to a limited number of newsletters and podcast sponsorships, offering an exclusive opportunity to promote your brand and connect with our passionate audience. Check out the link in our newsletter or hit us up across all socials. We got this.
All right.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground already. January 2025 was certainly a whirlwind of tech breakthroughs and thought-provoking discussions.
It really was. Before we move on, I'd like to circle back to something we touched on earlier, emotional AI. It's one thing for AI to recognize our emotions, but having it respond authentically and appropriately is a whole other layer.
I see where you're going with this. It's like we're stepping into the territory of artificial empathy, which raises all sorts of philosophical and ethical dilemmas.
Exactly. Imagine an AI therapist providing support that's indistinguishable from a human. Does that change our understanding of empathy itself? What happens if this technology falls into the wrong hands? Could it be used for emotional manipulation? These are questions we can't ignore.
It's a bit mind-blowing, isn't it? The more advanced AI becomes, the blurrier the lines get between human and machine.
That's why these conversations are so important now while the technology is still in its early stages. We need to establish ethical guidelines and safeguards to ensure emotional AI is used responsibly.
Absolutely. We need to be thinking ahead about the potential consequences. Okay, shifting gears back to finance. We talked about the potential of CBDCs to revolutionize money, but I'm curious about the practical implications. How would these digital currencies actually be used in everyday life?
Think about it. You could be paying for groceries with a digital euro or sending money instantly using a digital dollar. Seamless, secure, and potentially much cheaper than our current systems.
I can see the appeal. No more waiting for checks to clear or dealing with hefty international transfer fees. But what about those who aren't tech-savvy or don't have access to smartphones? Would they be left behind in a digital financial world?
That's a crucial consideration. Policymakers need to ensure CBDCs are accessible to everyone, regardless of their tech skills or socioeconomic status. Perhaps offline solutions or alternative access points could be part of the solution.
Financial inclusion needs to be a priority as we move towards a more digital future. Okay, enough serious talk for a minute. Let's indulge in a bit of futuristic fantasy. Flying cars. While they weren't zipping around CES this year, there was definitely buzz about those electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, or EVTLs.
It seems like flying cars are inching closer to reality, but we're not quite there yet. We still face hurdles with battery technology, airspace management, and of course ensuring these vehicles meet the highest safety standards.
So what's holding us back? Is it mainly a technological challenge, a regulatory issue, or a combination of factors?
It's a complex mix. Battery tech needs to advance significantly to provide enough range and power for practical urban air mobility. Then there's the question of managing crowded airspace safely and efficiently. And of course, passenger safety is paramount. It's a multifaceted challenge.
It sounds like we have a way to go before we're all commuting in our personal flying cars. But it's exciting to see progress being made. Imagine the possibilities. Reduced traffic congestion, faster commute times, maybe even air taxis and flying ambulances.
The potential benefits are huge. It could transform transportation as we know it.
Speaking of transformation, let's delve deeper into the world of smart cities. We talked about the potential benefits, but I'm curious about the potential downsides. Could they become too intrusive or even oppressive?
It's a valid concern. The more data a city collects, the higher the risk of misuse. Imagine facial recognition tech tracking people's every move, or AI algorithms predicting and preemptively punishing behavior. That's a pretty dystopian scenario.
It's like a science fiction nightmare, a city that monitors and controls its citizens' every move.
We need to be wary of that. Smart cities need to be designed with privacy and civil liberties at the forefront. Transparency, accountability, and citizen oversight are crucial.
It's about finding that delicate balance, isn't it? Using data to improve lives without compromising individual freedoms.
Exactly. And that brings us to another topic with major implications for global power dynamics. China's emergence as an AI powerhouse. We talked about DeepSeek, but it's part of a much bigger picture. China is pouring resources into AI, and some experts believe they could surpass the U.S. in AI leadership within the decade.
That's a pretty bold prediction. What's driving China's AI ambitions?
Several factors. They have access to vast amounts of data, which is essential for AI training. The government is highly supportive, providing funding and a favorable regulatory environment. And they have a rapidly growing talent pool of engineers and scientists focused on AI.
It's like all the pieces are falling into place for them. What does this mean for the rest of the world? Is it a threat, an opportunity, or both?
It's complex. On the one hand, China's AI capabilities could challenge the U.S. and other Western nations in terms of economic competitiveness and even military power. On the other hand, there's potential for collaboration and knowledge sharing that could benefit everyone.
It's a delicate geopolitical dance. AI is adding a whole new level of complexity. Okay, let's shift gears from the global stage to the more personal realm. We talked about tokenizing real-world assets. But how would this technology actually impact our daily lives?
Imagine easily investing in a fraction of a valuable artwork or prime real estate. Tokenization could open up investment opportunities that were previously only available to the wealthy.
That's pretty exciting. It's like democratizing access to investments.
Exactly. And it's not just about big investments. Think about managing and tracking personal assets like your car, your house, even a collection of rare stamps. You could have a digital wallet that securely stores all your tokenized assets, making it easier to transfer ownership, track their history, and even insure them.
It's like having a digital vault for all your valuables.
Yeah.
But what about the risks? Are there downsides to consider when it comes to tokenizing personal assets?
Of course. Security is paramount. We need rock-solid cybersecurity measures to prevent hacking and theft of these digital tokens. And we also need to ensure proper regulation and insurance to protect consumers from fraud and loss.
So it's not a risk-free proposition, but the potential benefits are definitely enticing. Okay, one last topic before we wrap up this part of our deep dive. Decentralized data marketplaces. We discussed individuals controlling and monetizing their own data, but how would these marketplaces actually work in practice?
Imagine a platform where you securely store your data and set your own terms for access and use. You could sell it to companies for market research or allow researchers to use it for studies, all while maintaining control over your privacy.
That's like you're the shopkeeper and your data is the merchandise.
You got it. You choose what data to sell, to whom, and for what price. Blockchain technology ensures secure and transparent transactions.
But what about privacy and security? Would our data be vulnerable to misuse?
That's why these marketplaces would need to implement robust privacy-preserving technologies. Things like differential privacy and homomorphic encryption can allow data to be used without compromising individual privacy.
Those sound like some seriously high-tech solutions.
They are, but they're crucial for building trust and making sure these marketplaces are ethical and responsible.
Decentralized data marketplaces could truly empower individuals and shift the balance of power in the digital age. But it seems like there are a lot of complex technical and ethical hurdles to overcome.
You're absolutely right. It's a fascinating space with enormous potential, but we need to move forward carefully prioritizing privacy and security.
That's a good note to end on. It seems like with all these technological leaps, responsible development is key. For this final part of our January 2025 Tech Roundup, I think we've saved the most interesting part for last. The big philosophical questions. What does it even mean to be human these days? Especially with machines getting so smart so fast.
Yeah, it's a question people have been asking forever, but it's definitely more relevant than ever.
AI is changing so fast. We talked about AI recognizing our emotions, AI doing better diagnoses than human doctors, even AI art and music that's getting really good. It really makes you wonder, what's left for us humans when machines can seemingly do it all and even do it better sometimes?
That's a really deep question, and there's no easy answer. Some people think AI will eventually become smarter than humans, making us obsolete. Others think we're headed for a future where humans and AI work together, with AI helping us solve the world's biggest problems.
I'm definitely more on the optimistic side.
Hmm.
Just imagine AI taking care of all the boring stuff and leaving us free to be creative, or even using AI to understand ourselves and the universe better than we ever could before. Of course, there are risks, like making sure AI is ethical and used responsibly, but the potential benefits are huge.
For sure. It's important to have these conversations to talk about both the good and the bad of AI. We need to make sure AI makes our lives better and helps humanity.
Absolutely. So wrapping up our January 2025 deep dive, I'm feeling amazed by all the progress, but also a bit cautious. What are your final thoughts on all these tech trends?
I think the biggest thing is that we're living in a time of incredible change driven by technology, and it's changing everything. We're seeing a transformation unlike anything in human history.
It's pretty amazing. From emotional AI to smart cities to turning everything into tokens, it seems like anything is possible.
Yeah, but we can't forget that technology is just a tool. We're the ones who decide how to use it. It's up to us to use technology wisely and ethically to make the world a better place.
That's a great point. As we explore these new technologies, we need to stay curious, but also think critically. We have to embrace the possibilities, but also watch out for the risks.
It's true. The future isn't set in stone. We're building it with every choice we make. And hopefully with open conversations like this one, we can make the right choices, ones that lead to a better future for everyone.
That's a great takeaway. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the future of tech.
It was my pleasure.
And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep the conversation going. The future is waiting.